Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today we're going to go over ways to brace for the deadlift. I'm going to go over the conventional deadlift and Chris is going to go over the sumo deadlift. So for the top down brace, I'm going to create a brace at the top of the lift and then go down to complete my lift. This can make athletes typically feel a little bit more stable and a little bit more rigid throughout the torso. So the second type of brace is the one that I create while I'm pulling the slack out of the bar at the bottom position. What I'm going to do is, as I'm pulling the slack out of the bar, I then hold the brace in my chest and then complete the lift with a wedge. This is typically done with people that do a bit more of a dynamic wedge rather than a static wedge.
So now that Josh has gone through how to brace for a conventional deadlift in both the top down and the bottom approach, what we're going to go through next is how to brace for a sumo deadlift. So more or less with a sumo deadlift, we can brace in sort of those two types of fashions as well, where we are starting from the top or from the bottom of the movement. I guess for the start of the sumo deadlift, when we're looking at bracing from the top down, what we want to look at doing is very similar to the conventional deadlift. Once we take our stance, nice and relaxed at the top, thinking about creating, I guess, a stack through the hips and the pelvis, taking that breath in so we are creating a lot of that internal pressure, and then going down to the bar and pulling from there. So what it should look like is something like this. Creating that brace at the top, lowering down to the bar, and then pulling. Now when we're starting from the bottom position to create this brace for a sumo deadlift, it's very similar again to the conventional, but then again just in the sumo stance. So what we want to do is taking our sumo stance, making sure that when we are going down to the bottom of the lift, that we are, I guess, feeling nice and comfortable, nice and relaxed through the upper body. When we are down in our position to brace, we want to make sure that we are, I guess, creating more of that dynamic wedge like Josh was talking about. So when we are going to pull slack out of the bar before the knees come forward, that's when we want to look at creating our brace. So what you'll notice is that as soon as I'm down at the bar here, I'm pulling that slack out of the bar. As my knees go backwards, that's when I look at creating my brace or creating as much internal pressure as I can through the midsection. So from here, pulling slack out, knees go backwards, I take my breath in, come forward with the legs and pull up. So we've just gone through 4 different ways that we can brace, 2 for sumo and 2 for conventional. Pick which one makes you feel the strongest and makes the weight feel the lightest, because at the end of the day, powerlifting is all about creating as much pressure as we can to make the weight feel as light as it can and move as fast as it can.